Cindy, welcome to the second episode of our Inspiring Leaders series, where we shine a light on inspiring and innovative schools and their leaders from different regions around the world. Absolutely delighted to be joined by Cindy today from Bangkok. If we can get straight into it. So if you can tell me a bit about your journey into education through to the leadership role you have today at Bangkok Patana School in Thailand.
Hi, Max. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to chat today. Right. Well, I've had quite a quirky pathway into school leadership. I certainly didn't do the kind of teacher, head of department, vice principal route. So before I worked in Bangkok Patana School, I'd never worked in a school before. I used to work in elite sport and sports development, predominantly in aquatics, but also crossing over into other areas. And then through my personal sort of circumstances, I was looking for a job in aquatics, and I saw online Bangkok Patana School way back in 2007, I think. No, yes, that long ago. I just scared myself how old I am. Advertising for a head of swimming. And actually, at that time, I didn't have very much knowledge of the international school sector. I was just really looking for a role. I threw my hat into the ring and got this job. And so off my husband and I took to Bangkok, Thailand. We'd never traveled to Thailand before in our lives, didn't really know what to expect. And as fate would have it, of course, our flight got delayed and we arrived in the middle of the night. So even when we landed, we didn't know where we were. But yeah, what followed was 8 really cool years as the head of aquatics or head swim coach at Bangkok Patana. And during that time, my eyes were open to the world of international education, what wonderful schools are out and about, and what a fun, sort of engaging intercultural environment it is to work in. And I also had my daughter, and she started within a few years, started as a student at Bangkok Patana as well. So we started to realize, oh, this is really cool. So I was quite ambitious, and then next I moved up into the head of sport role. So looking at, because in some schools I think we'd call that position an athletic director. At Bangkok Patana we call it an assistant principal in charge of sports and ECAs. So oversight of the extracurricular activities of the school. That role was really good because it was very aligned with my values. I really do believe in a holistic education. I think that growing that whole child and helping them find the things that really make them tick is a really special privilege. And I think that a school that has a rich and diverse extracurricular activities program can really help to nurture the child alongside their more academic journey. And we all know those kids, for some of them, coming to the basketball practice after school or the arts and craft ECA with their best friend is one of the things that gets them out of bed and gets them through the door when maybe the academics or the social side is not going so smoothly. So that was a really fun role. Bangkok Patana is lucky enough to have a number of sports academies. So there was an opportunity to tap into my background in sports development and high performance sport, but at the same time be learning and developing those programs for every child. So I did that for 6 years, including a couple of tough years during COVID. It's very tough to lead a sports and activities program when you've got no sports and activities to play and no one can come to school or be in your facilities. There's nothing sadder than empty sports halls and swimming pools. So that was a time of, real innovation. I had a wonderful team who really rallied and were doing all sorts of crazy things at home in their bedrooms to try and keep kids active and engaged and safeguard their mental health, which was through a really, really tough time. So that I learned a lot through that period. I hope we never go back there, but it was an interesting time to lead that kind of provision in particular. And then I've always been really passionate about professional learning. Even when I worked back in the sports industry, I used to do lots of coach education, and so I was really passionate about professional learning. So after that 6 years in the head of sport role, I got the opportunity to move across to a similar assistant principal role, and that was in professional learning, and that was really fun. Just 2 years working just to develop other people, inspiring them to take, go on, you can do your masters, you can do your NPQ qualifications, go on, you want to,
Yeah.
running lots of workshops, book clubs, anything that was just going to get people and capture them. And probably one of the things I was most proud of was trying to create little bite-sized PD, because everyone knows how busy and time poor teachers are, always being pulled in lots of different directions. So one of my big goals during that time was I just want to meet people where they're at and give them little bite-sized bits that they can consume, that they have space for in their head. And hopefully that will grow and magnify from there. And then I was fortunate that the timing was right and the position for cross-campus principal came up at Patana. It's a really unique role that doesn't exist in many schools. So at Patana, we have a head of school who oversees the whole organisation, but then we also have a primary, secondary, and cross-campus principal. And the cross-campus role scoops up all those sort of services and provisions that run from nursery all the way through to year 13 for us, or K to 12 if you're in a different context. Things like technology for learning, professional learning, sports and ECAs, the sustainability and outdoors piece, our libraries, our diversity, equity, inclusion, and also our Thai language and culture, because that's our host country.
Mm.
So, and also don't forget the most exciting one, accreditation.
Yeah.
so, so what it does is it sort of scoops those up and creates a bespoke team that can lead, that really services the whole school. So we're really lucky we get to work with the really young ones all the way through to our graduates. And what it frees up the principals of the primary and secondary to do is to really, go deep and dive deep into the academic side and the pastoral care that goes on within their schools. So
Mm.
it's a lovely model and it's a really fun position.
Wow. I mean, what a journey you've had at the school. Just out of interest, how have you how did you transition from that entry point into never having worked at a school through to now the leadership role you have today in terms of learning how to step up into middle leadership and now into senior leadership? Just out of interest, how did you sort of
Yeah,
look
I
to
mean,
acquire those skills?
I've had some really wonderful mentors. So people who have, been in my corner, said my name in rooms when I wasn't there, really been willing to give me, good feedback when I needed it, both positive and negative. And just kind of, yeah, made it possible for me to see how my transferable skills could be used in one context through to another.
Yeah.
I am unashamedly quite ambitious, so I do go for things. I do put myself out there, and I do volunteer actively because I think that that's a big part of it. Like willing to say, "Oh yeah, I'll get involved in that," or "I'll be part of that working party," or whatever, so that you get those opportunities to be seen. But
Mm.
I would say the most powerful part has been the mentoring and the feedback that I've had along the way. People who hold you to account and get you to explore what your standards are and how you're going to work to enforce those, but also stay authentic to who you are, have been really important for me.
Yeah, fantastic. And a bit about your school's context. So the nationality ratio of your students and staff, if you could tell us a little bit about that, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. So we're a British international school based in Thailand. We have around 2,300 students from nursery through to year 13. So quite large, but not the largest in the world by any stretch. Our students are from 68, I believe, at last count, different places around the world, and about 20% are Thai nationals. Although we do have quite a high number, maybe about 28% of our students who are dual nationality. So
Mm.
they might be Thai and something else, or they could be, from the two European countries or whatever. So, yeah, quite a diverse community, which is one of the things that's really special about our school. Just, the friendships you can make, the things you can learn about the world, the languages you hear spoken all around the campus. It's really vibrant and a really fun place to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. And obviously, yeah, within an international school environment, that is the beauty of these systems, isn't it? Bringing people together and fostering that collaborative global mindset. So just on that, how important is providing that global mindset for your students, and what kind of practical strategies have you used to do this in Bangkok Patana?
Yeah, so I would say that it's fundamental to everything that we do at Patana. We have three values: learning, well-being, and global citizenship. So it's right there in our value statements, so kind of cornerstone of our mission and vision.
Mm,
We're very much committed to building children who we know are going to be the future leaders of the world, and we want them to be able to shape it in ways that make it more positive, and ensure that everybody is included and successful and has access to the things they need, equity, to be successful in their own lives. So, practically, what does that mean? It means that we engage our students in lots of service learning. So that's quite an important pillar for us. In primary school, each of our year groups is linked with a local charity, and they engage in awareness raising and visits with those organisations so that they can really learn about their work and partner with them in a long-term sustainable way. And occasionally they'll engage in some fundraising, but usually that's not the core purpose. Usually it's more about doing things together with members of the local community so that they can forge that real understanding of the world, and have that authentic experience of how to lead out and make it a better place. And then in our secondary school, we have a large focus on community engagement,
mm,
and students are encouraged to join a huge range of teams. There are teams that look into sort of sustainability and environmental inequality. We have groups who look at economic inequities and how they can pull those apart. And then we have groups that look at social equality and things like that. And so, all sorts of clubs from Amnesty International, environmental committees, and the kids are engaged. They're student-led clubs, so they all have their own little leadership structure within the club, a president and a secretary, and then they plan their initiatives and campaigns, and then they go out and do that work. So I think service learning is a really key way to create real life
mm,
examples and experience for students on how to be a global citizen. I think also global citizenship has to live in your curriculum. So we explicitly map through global citizenship, and we regularly audit our curriculum to make sure that we are ensuring that our resources share stories from people all around the world in all sorts of different situations, and we make sure that we lean into the best parts of the IB curriculum, which
mm.
is also firmly rooted in that idea of global citizenship.
Yeah, wonderful. And in terms of I'd love to touch on some of the staff professional development strategies. Obviously you mentioned that the micro learning and the staff professional development series that you've set up there. So I'd love to learn a bit more about the strategies that you've used to develop your staff professionally at Patana,
Which
so that
ones?
they're retained, engaged. Yeah, I'd love to learn a bit more about that.
Yeah, so I think one of the ones that we're really proud of is our induction. So when staff join us, we have a really comprehensive induction. It goes for close to 10 days, which some people go, oh my goodness. And it's divided into two parts by design. The first few days are all about the personal side. So getting settled in your new country, making sure that you're physically and mentally ready to become part of the community, because we've found that if people can't find a grocery store and don't have sheets on their bed
Mm,
and don't know how to get a taxi to get to school in the morning, it's not going to matter what we start sharing about our curriculum or our, behavior policy. They're not going to be open to it. So first we take a real sort of overall picture of that staff member and make sure that they're really well settled, that they have appropriate accommodation, and they know where to find the food that they like, and they know how to get to and from school, and they know what to wear that's appropriate for the climate, and they've got a few words of the local language and things like that.
mm,
So we spend 3 or 4 days just working with them on things like that. Then we start to transition across to the more professional side, and we have a sort of really rigorous but supportive program where we teach them to use our computer systems. We teach them to navigate our pastoral systems. We teach them about our curriculum and our approach to pedagogy, and really engage in some good discussion. And we also pepper through all of that quite a lot of social events, and that's so that they can really form that strong bond as a new cohort, because those are going to be their real support network when the kind of honeymoon period wears off, which it inevitably does in any new organization, even at that sort of 8 to 10 weeks into term one when you think it's never going to end.
Yeah.
uh, and we just try to really lock in those friendships and that support network so that they've got someone to turn to. So it sort of starts immediately with that induction program. We're very proud of that. And lots of the new staff give us good feedback on how that feels from their end too. And we try to view our new staff as they're new staff for us all the way through term one. So we continue to run little workshops and other activities for them throughout the whole of term one, because we recognise that in a school our size, and especially if you've transitioned from a really different context, it does take time. It's not something you can be 10 days in and be like, right, I'm a pro, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Things are going to pop up. So that's that side. In terms of ongoing professional learning, we have kind of a huge menu that is divided up kind of a little bit by career stage. So we have all the compulsory training that everyone has, water safety and first aid, and we utilize the wonderful TES platform for online learning to tick some of those boxes for everybody. We have a system where once people have been with us for a few years, they can access funding support for master's level study and NPQs, and that's really effective in helping to stretch people who are, looking for that real structured, high level extra learning. So we have that. That's quite a formalized process. One of the programs that we're really proud of as well is called Learning for Learners. Learning for Learners is internal workshops that are offered after school or at lunchtimes, offered by staff for staff. And they're sort of an hour and a half long. You can pitch it. And basically staff will say, oh, you know what, I'm an expert in this and I'd like to share. And they put forward the proposal. And then there's a little sign-up system, and you'll get 15 to 20 other teachers who are interested in learning about that topic come together one afternoon or lunchtime. We put on a few snacks, and it's really fantastic kind of organic learning that goes on. And without a word of a lie, we probably have at least 2 or 3 of those going on every week, sometimes more. So there's a real culture of like sharing, and it doesn't matter what your specialty is. It might be, working with a particular maths resource in year 2, and you want to show everyone how to use little colourful rods or something. Someone else might want to show you how to publish flyers on Canva. Someone else might want to talk to you about, how to better engage with parents during 3-way conferencing. So it can be really diverse, the topics on offer, but it's got a real momentum around it, and it's fantastic.
That's brilliant. And it's that culture piece, isn't it? I suppose that's just so vital, but so important to intentionally engineer, right? And it sounds like the cadence of professional development, micro learning, and sort of that almost buddy system, mentor system to help people transition from teacher into middle leadership and senior leadership if they want to, is a really, really strong importance at your school, right? It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, we've recently developed a new leadership academy, where we've put together a number of workshops for aspiring and new leaders, middle leaders, and senior leaders, and they're being delivered by our academic leadership team, and we've developed a curriculum, and what those sessions aim to do is to put some theory around some of the common scenarios that happen for our leaders all the time, and give them an opportunity to just sit with other leaders, reflect, share their stories, and hopefully build like a deeper toolkit for when things come up. So we're really excited about that. It's in its first year. I think we've had 7 workshops so far, but that's something also to sort of support those people who are on that leadership pathway.
Yeah. And do you look to bring in resources from outside of the school, or do you tend to, again, keep the resources that you have within the school to help foster this professional development and learning?
Well, we're quite fortunate that Bangkok is such a travel hub and a lovely place to be. And also, our school is well resourced in that we have a lovely conference centre. So, we have been able to attract some quite high level speakers to the school. And we really feel that that's a win-win for us. So, we try to partner wherever we can. We've had people like Jim Knight, we've had, the off-seas conferences coming here at the end of the year. We've had the Kaleidoscope of Inquiry. We've recently had Mr. P, ICT. So yeah, we really focus in on creating partnerships that
Yeah.
allow us to host big name speakers, and then we can have some of our staff enjoy those opportunities, but also gives us a chance to give those opportunities to maybe some of the smaller schools in the area who don't have those conferencing facilities or potentially the money to engage in the partnership in the first place.
Mm, brilliant. Yeah, I suppose seeing it as a more collaborative hub within the wider community, and that sort of brings me perfectly
Yeah.
on to my next question, actually, in terms of building relationships with the wider community. What strategies have you put in place? It's not, you've hit on many of them already, it sounds like, but in terms of building relationships with the local community and also the parents of your students as well. And how have these relationships influenced the success of your school, would you say? It'd be great to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we would be nothing without our parent community. They're really fantastic, hugely supportive, and engaged with their child's education and therefore with everything that the school's doing. We have a really active PTG, but beyond that, we have parents who are just really willing volunteers, whether it's to come in with our littlest learners and support with reading or field trips and things like that, all the way through to when we put a call out for Careers Day for our senior kids to chat to people who are in different industries. We get, some of our parents have phenomenally interesting jobs, in industry and in non-governmental organizations, like places like the UN and things. And they're so giving of their time to come in and just give the students a little sneak peek into that world and share, what their career journeys look like and those kind of things. So we definitely try to really actively engage with our parents, not just in the kind of this is about your child way, because obviously you want feedback on how your child's going and you want to be getting those school reports and having your little parent conferences and stuff, but also trying to utilize their skills as well to help our students by engaging them to come in and work alongside us as partners in that learning. We also have a really strong parent workshop program because we believe that we're educating the whole family and we want to share with the parents the why of what we're doing in the classroom. We have, it's really regular, probably about every fortnight, there'll be a workshop of some description going on in the school where parents come in and they learn alongside our teachers. If we have guest speakers, we make sure that the guest speakers also run a parent workshop so that they understand why we've taken this particular approach to phonics or why the students do these particular activities in primary arts or why we've gone this direction with our reporting in, secondary. So that's a big feature. And they're really hands-on, they're really fun, and they usually get around 100 people all engaged and kind of learning alongside us, which is good. And then I think the second part of your question was community partnerships. I think the parents open those doors as well because a lot of them are engaged with the community. We have a fantastic team of people who head up sort of our CAS program, and they are actively charged with reaching out. We have quite a few memberships, and our staff serve on boards and things. So we're members of Phobia. Through the Phobia network, we engage in student events and CPL and all of those kind of things. We're members of, sports and activities leagues, things like the Bangkok Metropolitan Athletic Conference and Southeast Asia Schools Athletic Conference. And through all those kind of different touch points, you've got that sort of broader context that the kids get those opportunities through, and we also get the opportunity to learn from each other. And Patna also engages with the local community through chambers of commerce. So we will touch point with different chambers to sort of talk to parents and business leaders about what they need from the school in their community.
Mm. Wow. Yeah. just doing so many things on so many levels, right? And you're sort of building this halo effect that will have a cascading
Yeah.
impact, right? It's yeah, brilliant. And in terms of my last question, so looking forward, so there's a couple of parts to this. So looking forward, what do you see the sort of the evolution of an international education more broadly, and also what would be your number one tip for aspiring leaders in international schools today? So yeah,
Mm.
maybe starting with the future of international education
Future.
and international
Oh,
education. It's a big one.
exciting. Oh wow, where to start with that one? Well, we all know AI is coming. I'm quite enthusiastic about that. I do think there are some issues to kind of cover off. We have to make sure that it's safe and we have to make sure that it's unbiased and that there's data privacy embedded. But overall, I think that the arrival of AI is going to push us all forward in the way that the arrival of the calculator did and then the internet did. So it's an exciting time to be in international education, any education really, but particularly in international education. I think that what will come with that is more individualized learning pathways for students, more bespoke learning. And then when I put my biased cross-campus sports hat on, I think that those things that safeguard our mental health and bring balance and holistic value to our lives and make us uniquely human will become even more important. So I'm excited for what that means for students. If we get it right, they can be learning almost autonomously with the help of the AI, but then the school setting will become the place where they come to learn to socialize, move their bodies, stay fit and healthy and well, and become true collaborative critical thinkers who can drive things forward. That kind of human stamp will become our job, to really shape the human part of children. So that's like the futuristic bit. The extra context of international schools means that we're just uniquely placed to educate children to understand a range of perspectives. The world is a little polarized now. You look around, I think someone shared a stat with me the other day that there are more elections, national elections going on in the world at the moment than there ever has been in any other point in history. So we're all quite polarized. And I think that international education represents potentially a generation of students who could be capable of seeing things from multiple perspectives, who could be capable of understanding ambiguity and grey and holding two truths in their heads at the same time, those really special, tricky skills. So I'm hopeful. I think that those things are really exciting. In terms of tips for aspiring international school leaders, work hard. Enjoy what you do, take your opportunities, say yes. I think sometimes you have to say yes before there's extra cash or timetable allowance for what what someone's offering, just to kind of prove your worth. Obviously, I'm not suggesting you let yourself be exploited, but you do have to show that you're willing to kind of put yourself out there and go. And also, don't be afraid to pivot. Like if you told me, oh, you might be a cross-campus principal for a large international school, I would never have believed you. I was like, I wanted to go to the Olympics as a swimming coach. That was like where I started this journey. So yeah, pivot, because you have those transferable skills and you'll be surprised how the lessons you learned there can be applied over there, and then the things that made you successful there can be applied over here, and it's quite exciting.